Hello everyone, my name is Shreyas, and in this video I'll be explaining about one of the projects that I worked on. This project helped me and my team secure second position in the Epitome 25 hackathon. This hackathon was organized by my college and many people registered, uh, which consisted of many first year guys and seniors from different colleges. So before explaining about our solution, I would like to discuss about the problem statement first. Nearly 75% of companies admit that they've hired the wrong person for a particular role, which costs an average of $15,000 to the company. A staggering two-thirds of workers accepted that the job they are working for is not meant for them. And according to a survey, managers spend 50% of their work hours towards non managerial duties. An entire work day per week is devoted towards the hiring process. Our solution focuses on automating this hiring process through an AI hiring ecosystem. This solution consists of two prototypes. First one is the resume contextual analyzer, and the second one is an AI interviewer. Before explaining about our project, I would first like to thank my teammates Sohan and Sahil. Sohan mainly worked on the front end of the project, integrating the front end with the back end. He also worked on the GitHub analysis and the AI interview part. Sahil worked on fine tuning an LLM, which plays a crucial role in our backend. He also worked on the PPT and other pitching related tasks. So I'll be explaining about the resume contextual analyzer with a simple Streamlit interface in this video. I don't have the entire application downloaded locally in my laptop right now, so I'll be explaining it through a very simple interface. Now, this is the interface that we're using to demonstrate the backend of our project. This is not the actual interface. This is only meant for showcasing the resume contextual analyzer. Now, companies nowadays use an automation called as ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking System. What this ATS does is it basically works on a keyword matching mechanism, which means it looks for keywords in a resume and filters out all the resumes which do not have these keywords in them. So, for example, let's say that there is a company who is hiring a Python developer. Now, the company will set the keyword Python, and the ATS will filter out all the resumes which do not have the word Python in them. However, there is a limitation with ATS. The ATS is able to screen out candidates, but it is not able to hire the right candidates. So, for instance, let's say that there is a generative AI developer role. Now, what this company will do is they'll list this job and they'll set the words such as Python, generative AI, or LangChain. LangChain is a framework that is used for generative AI projects. So, let's say that set these three keywords. The ATS will filter out all the resumes which do not have these keywords in them. Now, this will help in significantly cutting down the pool of applicants that the company has to deal with. However, this cannot help in hiring the right candidate, which means the ATOs cannot actually rank the resumes which have passed its screening stage. So, let's say that there are two resumes and both of them have these keywords in them. The ATS cannot tell which among these resumes is actually the better one. However, our project is able to do that by contextually analyzing the resumes instead of rigid keyword matching. So I'll demonstrate this through some examples. But before that, I would like to demonstrate about the parameter adding interface. I'll tell about what an parameter actually is, what are the types of parameter that we are using. Now, this is the Git repository of our project, and I'll be using this to tell about the parameters and the types of parameters that we are using. I'll provide link to this in the description or in the pinned comments. I'm using this because it has detailed description of each type of parameter that we are using. So, what a parameter actually is, it is basically a criteria. that the company wants the resume to be evaluated upon. So, for example, let's say that there is a company who wants to hire candidates with a good CGPA. In this case, the parameter will look something like CGP of a candidate. Let's say that there is a company who is looking for candidate who have uh, knowledge of Python. In this case, the parameter will be knowledge or proficiency in Python. Let's say that there is a company who's looking for candidates who are from IITs. In this case, the parameter will be is a student of IIT. So parameters are basically criteria that we're using. Now, uh, in our system, we are basically classifying these parameter into three types, and these three types are mainly Boolean parameters, quantitative parameters, and textual parameters. I'll be first explaining about Boolean parameters and quantitative parameters, and then I'll explain about textual parameters. So, Boolean parameters are simple yes or no criteria such as certifications, specific tool proficiency, or mandatory skills. If the candidate meets this requirement, they'll get a full score, otherwise, they get no score. So, let's say that there is a company who is looking for a candidate who is a student of IIT. In this case, the company will set is a student of IIT as one of the parameter. This is a Boolean parameter because either a student can be from IIT or cannot be from IIT. If the student is from IIT, they will get a full score. And if the student is not from IIT, they'll get no score at all. So, this is basically a replacement for the keyword mechanism that the ATS is using. The second thing is quantitative parameters. ATS also has quantitative parameters. The quantitative parameters are basically some parameters which have numerical values associated with them. So, for example, CGP of a candidate, or years of experience, or age of a candidate. The parameter will compute a score based on the numerical value, and that will be considered as the raw score for that particular parameter. Now, the third type of parameter, which is actually the standout factor of our project, is the textual parameter. The textual parameter contextually evaluates the entire resume and generates a score based on for the proficiency or knowledge in a particular skill. That is, it scans through the skill section of the resume, the project section of the resume, the work experience section of the resume, and tells you that whether you are proficient in a how much proficient you are in a particular skill or particular domain of technology. This is not only limited towards tech related jobs, it can also do the same for non tech related jobs. So I'll be explaining about this through our interface. So this is our interface. This is the admin section, which has the add parameter like function. The add parameter function is only displayed to the admin. Admin is basically the person who is creating the job, and this is the user interface. The user interface is the one who is applying for the job. They'll drop their resume in that, and the parameter details are loaded from the website, and the resume is evaluated upon those parameters. To demonstrate this, we are going to use the resume called as R1. First, I'll be demonstrating about the Boolean parameters and quantitative parameters. Both of these functionalities are also offered by the ATOs. Then I'll be using my time to demonstrate the textual parameters in very depth. So this is the first resume. The candidate's name is Ethan M. Carter. These are the skills that he has. He knows about Java, Python, C++. He has experience in web development. He knows about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. These are frameworks that he knows. This is the DBMS that he's using, and these this is his previous experience. So he has worked in CodeWorks as a software developer intern, and these are his projects. He did his MS in computer science from Northern Tech University, and his GPA is 3.77. This GPA is out of 4 actually. So yeah, this is the resume that we have. Now I will be using this resume to demonstrate the Boolean and quantitative parameters. Now, I'm going to demonstrate about quantitative parameters first. So, quantitative parameters, as I said, have numerical values associated with them. In this case, let's start with CGP of candidate as the uh, parameter. The parameter weight is actually the importance of the parameter. So it's not necessary that each parameter has equal importance. The higher the parameter weight relative to other parameters, higher is the contribution of that parameter to the final score of the resume. In this case, let's say that I'm going with 5 as the parameter weight. When I click on process parameter, it should automatically detect the CGP of candidate as a quantitative parameter. So if I click on it, yeah, it has detected it as a quantitative parameter. Now the quantitative parameter has two more inputs: maximum value and benefit type. Maximum value is a value beyond which the parameter is considered to be considered to be excessive or irrelevant, or the maximum value is the maximum that a score for that parameter can get. So in this case, CGP of candidate, the maximum value will be 4, because this CGPA 3.77 is out of 4. Now, for some quantitative parameters such as years of experience, the maximum value actually depends on the admin who is setting it. So they can set it as 15 maybe, which will mean that any candidate who has experience equal to or greater than 15 will get a full score. Now, in this case, the maximum value should be 4, so I'll go with 4. Now, the second type of input is benefit type. What benefit type actually is, now it's not necessary that for each quantitative parameter, higher values should get a higher score. So, for example, let's say that there is a company who is looking for young candidates. In that case, this parameter will be age of the candidate. However, we want to give higher score to lower values of age. In that case, the company can set low is better as their benefit type. In this case, we are looking for candidates with higher CGPA, so we'll go with high is better. So we'll save this quantitative parameter, and we'll save this parameter. This is the admin section. The admin has uploaded the parameters for that particular job. Now, when user opens the job posting, they'll get details about the job, and they'll get an option to upload their resume. We are going to upload the resume R1 here, and this the resume we have R1. This resume will get processed, and there will be a score that is generated for the parameter CGP of the candidate. So wait for this resume to be processed. So the score it generated is 94.25. The CGP of candidate, for CGP of candidate, the score is 94.25. Now I'll explain why it's 94.25. The CGPA is 3.77. Now 3.77 out of 4 is 97, 3.77 out of 4, yeah, is 94.25. That's why the system gave a score of 94.25. This is how quantitative parameter works. Be demonstrating about the Boolean parameters, so I'll be using the same resume for this as well. As I said, Boolean parameters are yes or no parameters, so it will either give you a full score, that is if the requirement is satisfied, or it will give you a zero score if it is not satisfied. Now I'll be using multiple Boolean parameters in this demonstration, and here you will also understand the true meaning of parameter weight. So we have this resume, and let's say the parameters are as follows. The first parameter is the student, or the candidate should be a student of IIT. Let's say that is one of the parameter that the company wants, is a student of IIT, right? So now I'll set the parameter weight. Parameter weight is kind of importance, and this importance is relative to the parameter weights of other. So I'll set the importance of 1 for this parameter, is a student of IIT. And when I click on process parameter, it will like automatically detect it as a boolean parameter. So yeah, there's a boolean parameter, which means that if this resume that we are feeding in is some is of someone's was a student of IIT, then they'll get a full score. If he is not from IIT, then he'll get a zero score for this particular parameter. We'll go forward with the second boolean parameter, that is, let's say, the candidate must know the language Java. So let's say knows Java, right? So when I click on that, let's say that knows Java parameter is more important than being a student of IIT. So for this, the parameter weight was 1. So for knows Java to be more important and contribute more to the final score, we'll have to keep it higher than 1. So we'll go with something like 2.8 or 2.5. Let's go with 2.8. And when you process it, this will automatically detect it as a Boolean parameter. Done. Now, let's go with one more Boolean parameter. Let's say that the candidate should be a previous employee of Codeworks. The candidate is a previous employee of Codeworks. Previous employee of Codeworks. Okay, I'll click, and this is not that important, so it is the least important, let's say, and it will give it a weightage of 0.5. And when we click on process parameter, it will automatically detect it as a Boolean parameter. So yeah, so these are three parameters that I'm going with, and when I save all of them and upload my resume, the user section, this is the resume that we are uploading, it will process the resume. So first one was is a student from IIT. For that, the resume should get a zero score because the candidate is from some northern tech university. The second one was is an employee of Codeworks. So for that, it should get 100 score because he is actually from Codeworks. The another one was Java. So the candidate does know Java, so he should get a like full score for that. And the final score will be as per the weightage. So this is the final score, that is 76.74, and these are the individual score. Is a student of IIT, it gave it a zero score because he's not a student of IIT. Is knows Java, it got 100 score, and the candidate is a previous employee, it got 100 score. The final score is as per the weightage. So what we are using is the formula similar to the formula used for computing the CGPA of your in your college. So we are multiplying this final raw score for each parameter with its weightage and dividing by the total weightage. So the final score, that is 76.74, is as per that. And this is a simple replacement for the keyword matching thing that the ATS uses. So yeah, contextually and generate a consistent scoring for evaluating the knowledge or proficiency in a particular field. So here we have like two resumes. The first resume is going to be R1. Let me show you R1. So this R1. The R1 resume is of the same resume that I use for like Boolean and quantitative. The R1 resume is more focused on web development related projects and web development related skills. So he knows HTML, CSS, JavaScript. He also has worked in like CodeWorks and has done some work with backend services, has integrated REST APIs for web applications. These are his projects, and again, these are using like web development related skills more. And we have the second resume, that is R2. R2 is more focused on machine learning related frameworks and technologies. So Llama Index, Flask, LangChain. Flask is used for web development, but so it is not like completely knowledgeable in web development, but it is more focused on machine learning. And even R1 is not completely knowledgeable in what do you say, machine learning. It has made a like R1 candidate has made a project using scikit-learn which is like a framework that is used for generative AI, I think. So yeah, both of these resumes are not knowledgeable in like machine learning or web development, but one is more focused on web development and the other one is more focused on uh, what do you say, machine learning. Yeah, so I'll be checking for these two resumes for the proficiency or knowledge in machine learning and web development, and we'll compare the scores to see if the model that we are using is actually reliable or not. So let's do that first. These are the two parameters that we are using. Both of them are textual. Okay, it got automatically detected as textual. So we'll save, and we'll also set the same parameters for these two. So knowledge of web development related technology, this is our first parameter, got detected it as like textual. We'll go with knowledge of machine learning, ML. Yeah, textual again. So we'll save. Now we'll upload R3 resume over here, which is more catered towards web development skills. So not R3, R1. So R1 is more catered towards web development and less catered towards machine learning. And we'll upload R2 over here. This is more focused on machine learning and less focused on web development. R2, yeah. So the final score generated for R1 uh, should be such that the web development will get a higher score and the machine learning will get a lower score, but it should not be zero, because again r r1 candidate has made a project which uses machine learning algorithms. So yeah, let's see the score of R1. So this R1 score, and the R1 got a score of 78.5 in web development related technologies and a score of 60 in ML. Let's go and check R2 score. R2 got a score of 65 in web development, because again R2 is not completely knowledgeable in web development. He knows Flask, which is used for integrating Python backend with like front end. He knows version control. He knows database management. So he did not get a zero score, but again he got a less score compared to R1's web development score, and he got a more score for machine learning, which means that it is able to contextually analyze the content of the resume. So yeah, let's also confirm that it's not actually, what do you say, it's not actually giving some random score, and it is also capable of giving zero scores if there is no mention of some particular skill. So I'll go with computer vision for R1, knowledge of computer vision. We'll process the parameter, and if you see R1 resume, there is no like, what do you say, no projects that are related to computer vision. So ideally it should get a zero score for computer vision. So I'll save this and I'll process this resume R1, and it should get a zero score for computer vision. We'll wait for it to process. The processing does take some time because we are calling API calls for each of the process, like each of the parameter, but it is again not that bad. And yeah, so this is the final overall score. The knowledge of computer vision got a zero score because R1 does not mention any what is it, computer vision related projects or skills. So yeah, so this is able to contextually analyze. In the next section, I'll be showing you how precisely it is able to contextually analyze. We'll make just a small change between two resumes, and we'll see that how this change actually affects the score, and it is not something that is being overlooked. Now, as I mentioned earlier, now I'm going to compare two resumes, and the only difference between these two resumes will be a very minute difference, and will like show you that how the score generated despite this minute difference is different, and it is not actually being overlooked. The score generated will also be very reasonable to you. So the resumes that we are going to use are R3 and R4. If you have noticed, there is not much of a change. I'll highlight the change first. The resume R4 has this framework called LangChain. over here and over here. Okay, the resume R3 has this LangChain replaced by llama index over here and over here. Rest of the resume is like pretty, what do you say, pretty same. And you can also confirm that there are no white text that I am hiding so as to manipulate the results. So yeah, both of them are like completely uh, authentic resumes with only these two changes: langchain, llama index, and llama index. Now, to for those of you who don't know, llama index is actually less used compared to langchain. Langchain offers more functionalities and is actually better than llama index. Both of these are frameworks that are used for generative AI projects. So llama index is less used and offers less uh, value, whereas langchain is more used, more functionalities, and is of high value. Now, ideally, if my model is actually able to contextually analyze the resumes, the R4 resume should get a higher score compared to R3 despite this minute change, because R4 uses LangChain and R3 uses Llama index. So let me show you the results of this. So we'll keep knowledge in generative AI as the parameter. We'll process the parameter, yeah, and over here we'll process the parameter knowledge in generative AI. We'll save both of these parameters and I'll be uploading resume R3 over here. R3 is the one with llama index and should get a lower score, and over here I will be uploading R4 and R4. So I hope R3 is being generated. Yeah, R3 is the one with llama index. So it gave it a score of 85 in knowledge in generative AI. Now, if my model is working fine and it is reliable and it is able to what do you say, detect minute changes and give a score reasonably, then the R4 resume should have got a greater score than 85. So we'll see the score, and yes, it has got a score of 88 only because of this simple change, which means that my model is actually sensitive to even the minute changes and it is able to give a score reasonably to them. So this is all possible because of like the fine-tuned model that we're using. It actually generates a consistent score. So let me show that as well. I'll upload the same resume R3 and you'll see that the score that it is generating is consistent and it is not something random. So in this case, it will again generate a score of 85. We'll wait for it to process. Um, So yeah, here it generated a score of 85. So as I said, uh, my model is consistent, it is precise, it is accurate, and it is like reliable. And this is possible because we are using a fine-tuned model and not just some random LLM model. The fine-tuning was done by like my teammate Sahil. So we fed many examples. We actually defined the flow in which it should analyze the resume content so that the score that it is generating is consistent and reasonable. So this is our demonstration of the entire project. Now I'll be delving into the details on how we built it, what is the flow that we are using, and what are the technologies that we are using.